Namaste, dear students of class 10. I am Tumpuri Shrivani from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan's BHL, RC Hyderabad. Today I am in front of you to discuss a topic called the hack driver from the book Footprints Without Feet. Okay, let us quickly dive into the chapter. But before we go into the chapter, let us understand the message of this story. The main message of this story, The Hack Driver, is that appearances are deceptive. We shouldn't get carried away by appearances. We shouldn't trust people just because they dress well, right? Because honesty doesn't depend upon dressing. Okay. So, the main message of this story is that appearances are deceptive. So today we are going to read the chapter called The Hack Driver. What do you mean by hack, children? Hack means a carriage which is driven by a horse. Driver is the person who is driving that hack. Okay. So The Hack Driver is written by Sinclair Lewis. So let us read the chapter. After graduating with honors, I became a junior assistant clerk in a magnificent law firm. So here the author is talking to us, or the narrator says he graduated with honors. Honors is nothing but getting a degree. After getting his degree, he became a junior assistant clerk. Okay, he got the posting of an clerk. Where was that? It was in a magnificent law firm. Magnificent means well known law firm. He became a clerk. I was sent not to prepare legal briefs, but to serve summons like a cheap private detective. So, children, you can clearly make out that the narrator did not like his job, because he says that he was sent to serve the summons. What do you mean by summons? Summons are nothing but the legal documents which is given by the court to appear in front of the judge, right? Now, suppose if someone is filing a case against someone, they have to send papers to them asking them to appear in front of the judge. So, those are called as summons. And he felt like a cheap private detective, right? Carrying those summons and serving those summons was something which was unpleasant to the narrator. He did not like it. And he also regretted that he was not given the opportunity to prepare legal briefs. Legal briefs are nothing but the arguments for the case, which is very important. So the narrator was not given this job, but instead he was asked to serve summons, and he disliked this job a lot. I had to go to dirty and shadowy corners of the city to seek out my victims. So, what was his duty? His duty was to go to dirty and shadowy corners. Shadowy corners is nothing but the places where these people went and hid, right? So, he did not like looking for them. He had to go and look for the people in the dirty and shadowy corners of the city, and he had to look for his victims. Some of the larger and more confident ones even beat me up. So these people to whom he was serving the summons, children, those people who were huge in size and who were very confident also, those who did not want to appear in court, okay, those criminals who did not want to appear in court, they also beat the clerk. So they did not want to take those summons, so they beat him up. I hated this unpleasant work, and the sight of city life it revealed to me. So this city life where he had to go and serve the summons was very unpleasant for him. That means he did not like it much. I even considered fleeing to my hometown, where I could have been a real lawyer right away without going through this unpleasant training period. So, children, many times he felt that he should flee to his hometown. Flee means to run to his hometown, because he disliked this training period. See, any junior lawyer has to go through the training period, right? He cannot straight away prepare legal briefs, right? But he found it very unpleasant. He wanted to leave this city life, and he wanted to run away to his hometown, which was in village. So I rejoiced one day when they sent me out 40 miles in the country to a town called New Mullion to serve summons on a man called Oliver Lutkins. So here came an opportunity, children. The author or the narrator got an opportunity to go to a village. Okay, so he says, I rejoiced, means I celebrated, I was very happy. Why was the narrator happy? Because he had to travel 40 miles to go to a country. Country is nothing but village side is also referred to as country, children. So he was supposed to go to a country to serve summons, okay, to a person called Oliver Lutkins. And the name of the place where he was supposed to go was New Mullion. We needed this man as a witness in a law case, and he had ignored all our letters. So, this Oliver Lutkins was a person who was ignoring all the letters from the lawyer. Hence, the narrator was deputed on this duty to go and catch hold of him in his uh, village, that is New Million, and he was supposed to serve. When I got to New Mullion, my eager expectations of a sweet and simple country village were severely disappointed. So, the narrator was hoping that this village would be very beautiful to look at, right? He had great expectations for it. But he went to that country village, he was disappointed. Why was he disappointed? Its streets were rivers of mud with rows of wooden shops, either painted a sour brown or bare of any paint at all. So he saw that the streets were filled with mud, and there were many wooden shops which were painted brown in color, or some of the shops did not have paint at all. The only agreeable sight about the place was the delivery man at the station. So the only thing he liked about this New Mullion was this person, the delivery man who was standing at the station. He was about 40, red faced, cheerful, and thick about the middle. So, how was this man, children? The man at the station was 40 years of age. He was red faced. He was a very cheerful person. And he was thick about the middle. Thick means he was slightly healthy, and about the middle age man. Okay. His working clothes were dirty and well worn. That means the clothes he were wearing were. The clothes he was wearing were dirty and they were well worn. That means probably he must have worn those clothes several times. Okay. So, and had a friendly manner. So the person appeared to be very friendly. You felt at once that he liked people. So, what did the narrator notice about this delivery man? That he was the person who liked people around him. I told him, to find a man named Oliver Lutkins. So the narrator now is mentioning the purpose of his visit. The purpose of his visit is to find Oliver Lutkins. So he goes and tells the delivery man about it. Lutkins, I saw him around here about an hour ago. Hard fellow to catch though, always up to something or other. He's probably trying to start up a poker game in the back of his shop. I'll tell you, boy, is there any hurry about locating Lutkins? So the delivery man immediately recognizes Lutkins. He says, Lutkins, he was just here an hour ago and he is very difficult to find. Hard fellow to catch, though, means it's very difficult to catch hold of Lutkins because he is always doing something or the other. And he says that at the moment, Lutkins would be at the Fritz shop playing a poker game. Poker game is nothing but playing cards, children. He says at the moment he would be at the Fritz shop playing the cards game, and the delivery man asks, "Are you in a hurry to find Lutkins?" And the narrator says, "Yes, I want to catch the afternoon train back to the city. I was very important and secret about it." So the narrator says, "Yes, it's very important for me to catch Lutkins now because I have to take the afternoon train and I have to go back to city." And the narrator does not reveal the secret behind his visit. He behaves to be very secretive about it. I'll tell you what, I have got a hack. I will get it out and we can drive around together and find Lutkins. I know most of the places he hangs out. So, who is I here? Here it is the delivery man. The delivery man says, I'm going to bring the hack here. That is the horse carriage I'm going to bring. And I will take you around in the horse carriage and I will help you to find Lutkins. And I know many places where he hangs out. Hangs out means the places where they could find Oliver Lutkins. He was so open and friendly that I glowed with the warmth of his affection. So the delivery man was very open, he was very friendly, and narrator felt the warmth of his affection. He felt very welcomed. He felt very affectionate towards the delivery man. I knew, of course, that he wanted the business, but his kindness was real. So the narrator felt that this man was very kind. He also knew that the delivery man was doing all this for business sake, but still he felt that he was very kind. I was glad the fare money would go to this good fellow. I managed to bargain down to $2 an hour, and then he brought from his house nearby a sort of large black box on wheels. So, what was the agreement? The agreement was that the narrator had to pay $2 an hour, and it was the duty of the delivery man to take him around and show him, right? Show him where Oliver Lutkins was. He remarked, "Well, young man, here's the carriage," and his wide smile made me into an old friend. So, when the delivery man smiled, this narrator felt as if the delivery man was his old friend. These villagers are so ready to help a stranger. He had already made his own task to find Oliver Lutkins for me. So the narrator felt very overwhelmed. He felt that the delivery man was trying to help him. He said, "I don't want to interfere, young fellow, but my guess is that you want to collect some money from Lutkins." So now they are having a casual conversation, children. The delivery man says, "I don't want to interfere in your business, but I just want to know, have you come here to collect any money from Lutkins? He never pays anybody a cent." And the delivery man says, "This Oliver Lutkin never pays anybody a cent." And cent means even a single rupee. Okay. He says, "This Oliver Lutkins never pays anyone. So have you come to collect any money from him? He still owes me 50 cents. I was a fool enough to play with him. He's not really bad, but it's hard to make him part with his money." So delivery man says, "This man, Oliver Lutkins, never pays any money to anybody, and he also owns me some money, and it was foolish on my part to play all poker game with him. If you try to collect from him in those fancy clothes, he will be suspicious and get away from you. If you want, I will go into Frisk and ask for him, and you can keep out of sight behind me." So what is the delivery man offering? The delivery man says, if he sees you in such well dressed clothes, he will immediately make out that you have come to collect money from him. So he says, "You wait here outside, and I will enter into the Frisk shop and I will find him for you. So you need not come inside and find Oliver Lutkins. On behalf of you, I myself will go inside and find him for you," says the delivery man. I loved him for this. By myself, I might never have found Lutkins. So the narrator is feeling very happy about it. He says, "I myself would never have found Lutkins. It is all because of delivery man that I'm able to locate Lutkins," feels the narrator. With the hack driver's knowing help, I was sure of getting my man. So, knowing help means what? The delivery man knew all the places in this New Mullion, right? Because that's why the narrator says, "Driver's knowing help. I was sure of finding this man," right? He was very sure that he would find Oliver Lutkins because the narrator had not seen Oliver Lutkins before, right? Only delivery man had seen Oliver Lutkins, and he felt pleased that delivery man was helping him to find Oliver Lutkins. I took him into my confidence and told him that I wanted to serve the summons on Lutkins. So, because of his kindness, immediately the narrator took him into confidence and told the secret. What was the secret? That the narrator had come to New Mullion to serve summons on Lutkins. Why he was to serve summons? That the man had refused to be a witness when his information would have quickly settled our case. So he was a very important witness. Who Oliver Lutkins was a very important witness in one case, and his appearance in court would actually settle the case. But Oliver Lutkins was avoiding it. Hence, the narrator had to come down in person to serve summons to him. The driver listened earnestly. So, this hack driver listened to him honestly or very Sincerely, he listened to the narrator. At the end, he hit me on the shoulder and laughed. Well, we will give Brother Lutkins a little surprise. So the delivery man listens to the problems of the narrator and he says, he taps him on the shoulder and he laughs and he says, "Come on, let us give one surprise to Lutkins. Let's start, driver. Most folks around here call me Bill or Magnuson. My business is called William Magnuson Fancy Carting and Hacking." So now the delivery man also is telling his name. The delivery man says, "My name is Bill. I'm also known as Magnuson, and my business name is called as William Magnuson Fancy Carting and Hacking." And he introduces himself to the narrator. "All right, Bill, shall we proceed to Friss?" So the narrator says, "Come on, Bill, let us go to the Friss shop." So you can see, children, the narrator is becoming very comfortable with Bill. He says, "Let us go to the Friss shop." Yes, Lutkins is just as likely to be there as anywhere. So Bill says, "Yes, it's most likely that we can find Lutkins there. Plays a lot of poker. He's good at deceiving people." So Bill says that Lutkins is very good at deceiving people. Deceiving means cheating people. He's big cheater and he is very good at cheating people, he says. Bill seemed to admire Lutkins' talent for dishonesty. So here, the thing that the narrator notices is that Bill actually admired Lutkins for his dishonesty also, children, because he's a cheater and he cheats in a very knackful way, with a knack. Uh, Bill seemed to admire Lutkins for it. I felt that if he had been a policeman, he would have caught Lutkins respectfully and jailed him with regret. So the narrator is joking here, children. The narrator says that Bill admired Lutkins so much for his dishonesty that if Bill was a policeman, he would arrest him with respect and put him in jail with regret. So that was the admiration that Bill had for Oliver Lutkins. "Bill led me into Fritz. Have you seen Oliver Lutkins around today?" "Friend of his looking for him," said Bill cheerfully. So these two people were talking, narrator and Bill were talking, and finally they reached the Frizz shop. And immediately Bill went inside the Frizz and he asked the people there, "Have you seen Oliver Lutkins here?" Frizz looked at me, hiding behind Bill. He hesitated and then admitted, "Yes, he was in here a little while ago. Guess he's gone over to Gustav's to get a shave." So, children, when Bill asked for Lutkins, Frisk looked very surprised. All right, this person looked very surprised. And he looked at Bill and he hesitated. Okay, he did not know how to react. And he said, after a while, he got composed and he said, "Yes, yes, he was here. And now he must have gone to the Gustavs to get a shave. Well, if he comes in, tell him I am looking for him." So Bill says, "If he comes in here, please tell him that I am looking for him." We drove to Gustav's barber shop. So what is this Gustav's, children? Gustav's was a barber shop. So from the Frizz shop, they went to barber shop. Again, Bill went in first and I lingered at the door. So here also the narrator was standing outside and Bill went inside and he asked for Oliver Lutkins. He asked not only the suite but two customers if they had seen Lutkins. So who is sweet? Sweet are the people. Sweden people are called as sweet children. So he goes inside and in the Gustavs there is the Sweden and he goes and asks for Oliver Lutkins and he says that they had not seen Oliver Lutkins. He also asked two customers who were sitting there. The Swede had not. He said angrily, "I haven't seen him and don't care to. But if you find him, you can just collect that $35 he owes me." So, children, here the Swede also is very angry. He says, "I have not seen him, but if you find him, please ask for those $35 that he owes me. Okay, and ask him to give it to me." One of the customers thought he had seen Lutkins walking down the main street this side of the hotel. So one of the customers who was sitting there, the customer says, "I just saw Lutkins who was walking down the street and you can find him near a hotel." Okay. So as we climbed back into the hack, Bill concluded since Lutkins had exhausted his credit at Gustav's, he had probably gone to Grace uh, for a shave. So while they were getting into the hack, Bill says that Probably he has taken so much credit, that he has taken so much loan here at Gustav's, that he must have gone to the Grace shop for a shave. At Grace barber shop, we missed Lutkins by only 5 minutes. So when they went to Graves shop, there the people told him that you missed them only in 5 minutes. He had just left, probably for the pool room. At the pool room, it appeared that he had just bought a pack of cigarettes and gone out. So these people from the Grace Barber shop, when they went to pool room, there they came to know that Oliver Lutkins had just left that place, and he must have gone to buy a pack of cigarettes. So he must have gone out. So we pursued him. Pursued means to chase him from one place to another place. So we pursued him, just behind him, but never catching him for an hour, till it was past 1 o'clock. So uh, till 1 o'clock, children, these people were going from one place to another place, but they could never catch Lutkins. I was hungry, but I had so enjoyed Bill's rough country opinions about his neighbors that I scarcely cared whether I found Lutkins or not. So while they were traveling from one place to another place, Bill was talking about all the neighbors in the village. That means all the people in the village. And narrator did not notice that it was already 1 o'clock and he was feeling very hungry. And narrator did not care to find Lutkins because he started enjoying the company of Bill Magnuson. How about something to eat? I suggested. Let's go to a restaurant and I'll buy you lunch. So, till 1 o'clock, what happened, children? These two people were going from one place to another place, and the narrator felt hungry and he said, why don't we eat something? Let's go to a restaurant and I'm going to buy you lunch. So, with this, you can clearly make out, children, how much the narrator liked Bill, because he's even offering to pay for his lunch. Okay. Well, I ought to go home to the wife. I don't care much for these restaurant, only four of them, and they are all bad. Tell you what we will do. We will get the wife to pack up a lunch for us. She won't charge you more than half a dollar. And it would cost you more for a greasy meal in a restaurant. And we will go up to the Waits Hill and enjoy the view while we eat. So, what does Bill say? Bill says there are only four restaurants here, and all the four restaurants are very bad because you get greasy meal here. Greasy means the meal is very oily. All right, the food is very oily. That's why we will go to my wife and we will ask her to pack lunch for you, and she can charge only half a dollar for it, and both of us can go to Wade's Hill place. We can sit there, we can enjoy the view and happily have our lunch. So Bill is being very nice with the narrator. He is also offering to give lunch to him. Okay, so both of them are enjoying each other's company a lot. I know that Bill's helpfulness to the young fellow from the city was not entirely a matter of brotherly love. So the narrator says, Bill is showing so much affection on me. It is not because he is just feeling that brotherly feel towards me. It's also that I was paying him for his time. In the end, I paid him for 6 hours, including the lunch hour, at what was then a very high price. So the narrator says, I paid him not only for 6 hours, I also paid him for the lunch hour, right? And he says it was quite a handsome pay. That means I paid him a lot of money to be with me. But he was no more dishonest than I. So the narrator says that I'm being dishonest. Why the narrator is being dishonest? Because the money that he's paying Bill, he charges for the firm. And also Bill also is taking money from the narrator, right? So he says, I charge the whole thing to the firm. So the narrator paid the money from the firm's account, but it would have been worth paying him myself to have his present. And the narrator feels that I should have paid him from my account itself because his presence was very important to me. His cheerful country wisdom was very refreshing to a country's boy like myself who was sick of the city. So he said, I am somebody who is very sick of the city, and his presence made me feel very good. As we sat on that hilltop looking over the pastures and creek which slipped among the trees, he talked of New Mullion and painted a picture in words of all the people in it. So these two people took the lunch. Happily, they sat at the Waits viewpoint, and both of them were looking at the pastures. Pastures means the green lands. From hilltop, how does it look, children? All the green lands, that is pastures, they could see. They could also see the creek. Creek is nothing but a narrow flow of water, right? When a river stream flows, it's called as a creek. So they were able to see the creek. And as they were having their lunch, Bill was talking about the people who lived in New Mullion. And he painted a picture in words of all the people in it. That means he gave detailed description. Paint a, painted a picture means he gave a detailed description of the people who lived in New Mullion. He noticed everything, but no matter how much he might laugh at people, he also understood and forgave their foolishness. So he told them that these people were very funny. He laughed at those people, and he also said that he forgave those people for their foolishness. He described the minister's wife who sang the loudest in church when she was most in debt. So you see, children, Bill is describing the minister's wife. The first person Bill is describing is the minister's wife. He says that when she goes to the church, she is the one who sings the loudest when she is in debt. Debt means when she borrows money from others, she sings very loudly, which implicates that she wants to appeal to the God for money, right? So he's making fun of the minister's wife. He says that when she is in debt, she is the person who sings very loud in the church. He commented on the boys who came back from college in fancy clothes. He told about the lawyer whose wife could never succeed in getting him to put on both a collar and a tie on the same day. Then Bill goes on to talk about the boys who wore fancy clothes and who were going to college. Then he goes on to describe the lawyer whose wife never succeeded in making him wear the collar and the tie on the same day. So this is kind of gossiping, children. He kept on gossiping about the minister's wife, then the college boys, then he talks about the lawyer whose wife fails to make him wear the collar and the tie on the same day. He made them all live. On that day, I came to know New Mullion better than I did the city and to love it better. So the narrator happily enjoyed all this gossiping and he sat and listened to him. And now he knew so much about New Mullion that he felt that he knew this village side more than his city. So this was the day where the narrator was having the happiest of time. Bill didn't know about colleges and cities, but he had traveled around a lot of the country and had had a lot of jobs. So, narrator is talking about Bill. He says Bill did not get the opportunity to go to colleges or he didn't go to city, but he had traveled a lot and he did variety of jobs. From his adventures, he had brought back a philosophy of simplicity and laughter. He strengthened me. So, you see, children, how impressed the narrator was because of Bill. He says that from his adventures, Bill had a philosophy of simplicity. He says philosophy is nothing but ideology. There was ideology of simplicity and lot of laughter, and the narrator felt that he was strengthened because of such good people like Bill, right? So he says that he strengthened me. We left that peaceful scene of meadows and woods and resumed our search for Oliver Lutkins. We could not find him. At last, Bill cornered a friend of Lutkins and made him admit what he guessed. Oliver's gone out to his mother's farm 3 miles north. So, children, these people, after they had their lunch, they left that place. Okay, they left the meadows and woods and they again resumed. Means again they started searching for Oliver Lutkins, but they still could not find him. Finally, Bill cornered a friend of Oliver Lutkins, and he made him admit uh, to reveal the address of Oliver Lutkins. And this friend revealed that he had gone to his mother's farm, which was 3 miles in the north. We drove out there laying plans. So these two again began their journey to their mother's farm and they laid out a plan to go and catch hold of Oliver Lutkins there. I know Oliver Lutkin's mother. She's a terror, Bill sighed. I took a trunk out there for her once and she almost took my skin off because I didn't treat it like a box of eggs. So now, children, Bill is narrating the episode where Bill had met Oliver's mother. He says, I know Oliver's mother. She is a terror. So he says she is a person who is a terror. That means she is very fierce, right? And she is a very angry woman. And Bill sighed. I took a trunk out there for her once. So he says, once I had taken a trunk to her and she had almost peeled my skin off because I did not treat the box like a box of eggs. So, since I did not treat the box very carefully, as if it was a box of eggs, she was infuriated and she almost bet me to death. She's about 9 feet tall and 4 feet thick and quick as a cat, and she sure can talk. So he goes on to describe Oliver Lutkin's mother. He says she is 9 feet tall and she is 4 feet thick. That means she's very stout, and says she's very quick, just like a cat. How does a cat move, children? The cat moves very fast. So Bill says that Oliver Lutkin's mother is as quick as a cat and she sure can talk. So she's very good at talking too. I will bet Oliver heard that somebody's chasing him and he's gone on there to hide behind his mother's skirt. So Bill says that obviously Oliver Lutkins must have come to know that somebody is looking for him. So he must have gone and he must have hidden behind his mother's skirts. Well, we will try her. But you would better let me do it, boy. You may be great at literature and law, but you haven't had real training in swearing. So Bill says, you must be very good at all such things, at law and all. Law and literature, probably you're very good at. But to find people like this and to take care of them, I am good at it. So you please permit me to take care of uh, Oliver Lutkins. We drove into a poor farmyard. We were faced by an enormous and cheerful old woman. So these two people drove there. Finally, they reached the farmyard. And in the farm, whom did they find? They found an enormous, cheerful woman. My guide barely went up to her and said, remember me? I am Bill Magnuson, the carter and the hackman. I want to find your son, Oliver. So after they reached there, when they saw Oliver Lutkin's mother, Bill goes to her and says, I am Bill Magnuson and I am from the Carter and the Hackman Company and I want to meet your son, Oliver. I don't know anything about Oliver and I don't want to, she shouted. So immediately when the mother heard her son's name, she shouted that I don't know anything about him and I don't want to know also about him. And she started shouting at the top of her voice. Now look here. We have had just about enough nonsense. This young man represents the court in the city, and we have a legal right to search all properties for this Oliver Lutkins. So Bill also gets agitated. Bill says, enough of all this nonsense. Why are you shouting? And this man has come to meet Oliver Lutkins. He is from the court, and we have legal right to search the entire property and look for Oliver Lutkins. Bill made me sound very important, and the woman was impressed. She retired into the kitchen, and we followed. She seized an iron from the old fashioned stove and marched on us, shouting, you search all you want to, if you don't mind getting burnt first. She shouted and laughed at our frightened retreat. So, what did the mother do? The woman or the mother of Oliver Lutkins, she says, okay, if you want to search, you search the entire place. I don't mind. But before that, I'm going to burn you with this iron rod. So you see, children, here, Bill made me sound very important. And the woman was impressed. The woman was very impressed and she retired into the kitchen. That means she went into the kitchen and we followed. She seized an iron from the old fashioned stove. So from there, she took an iron rod and marched on us, shouting, you search all you want. So she took uh, that burning iron rod and she says, you search everywhere if you don't mind getting burned first. So she says, she threatens them that I'm going to burn you first. And she shouted and laughed at our frightened retreat. So she starts laughing When these two people are very scared and when they retreat, means to turn around and run. When they started running away, she started laughing at those two frightened people. Let's go, get out of here. She will murder us, Bill whispered. Outside, he said, did you see her smile? She was laughing at us. So these two people literally they ran away from there because they felt that she would murder them. And after they went away, Bill mentions that did you see her laugh? She was laughing at us. I agreed that it was pretty disrespectful treatment. We did, however, search the house. Since it was only one story high, Bill went round it, peering in at all the windows. We examined the barn and the stable. We were reasonably certain that Lutkins was not there. It was nearly time for me to catch the afternoon train, and Bill drove me to the station. So, irrespective of her being so rude, these people searched the entire place. They searched the barn. Barn is nothing but the farm, the open area where the animals are tied. Okay. And the stable where horses are tied, right? So, they examined the barn and the stable. They looked everywhere, but they were certain that Oliver Lutkins was not there. And by the time they searched, it was mid afternoon and Oliver, it was time for the narrator to go and catch the train. So Bill drove him to the station. On the way to the city, I worried very little over my failure to find Lutkins. So the narrator boarded the train and he was traveling back to city. But while traveling back, also he did not worry much about his failure. His failure to find Oliver Lutkins, but he was often thinking about Bill Magnuson. I was too busy thinking about Bill Magnuson. Really, I considered returning to New Mullion to practice law. If I had found Bill so deep and richly human, might I not grow to love Fritz and Gustav's 100 other slow spoken, simple, wise neighbors? So, children, as he kept on thinking about Bill Magnuson, he also considered moving to New Mullion where he could practice law. He also thought that it was good for him to come back to New Mullion and become friends with Fritz and Gustavs, who were very slow spoken, who were very simple and wise neighbors. And he also felt that Bill was a very deep and rich human being. I pictured an honest and happy life beyond the strict limits of universities and law firms. So he started imagining himself having a happy life there. Okay. And he also felt that the life in the city, that is in universities and law firms, were very firm or very strict. And he was excited with the thought of going back to New Mullion and start living there. I was excited. I had found a treasure. I had discovered a new way of life. So this thought made him feel very excited. The thought of moving to New Mullion made him feel that he had found a big treasure and he thought that he found a new way of life. This implicates that the narrator was spellbound because of Bill Magnuson. But if I did not think much about Lutkins, the office did. So when he went to office, the entire office thought about Oliver Lutkins because the narrator had failed to bring him along. I found them all upset. So all the people who were in the office, they got very upset with him because he had not brought Oliver Lutkins with him. Next morning, the case was coming up in the court and they had to have Lutkins. So the next morning, Oliver Lutkins was supposed to be present in front of the judge. He was supposed to be present in the court and he was not there. So immediately he was to call for. I was a shameful, useless fool. So everybody in the office felt that the narrator was a shameful person. He was a useless fellow because he was not capable to bring Oliver Lutkins along with him. That morning, my promising legal career almost came to an end before it had begun. So he felt almost his career came to an end because everybody criticized him for his failure. The chief almost murdered me. He hinted that I might do as well at digging ditches. So the chief was very unhappy with the narrator. He tells him that he was good at only digging ditches. That means he should go and do this manual work of digging ditches, and he was only good at that and nothing else. I was ordered back to New Mullion, and with me went a man who had worked with Lutkins. So, what did the chief order? The chief ordered that he should go back to New Mullion again, and this time one other man would go along with the narrator. I was rather sorry because it would prevent my laughing all over again with Bill. So the narrator felt very unhappy about it. When one other man was to accompany him, he felt very sorry about it. Why? Because he would not get an opportunity to loaf. Loafing means to move around aimlessly. So he would not get an opportunity to hang out with Bill, right? So he felt very sorry that one other person was to accompany the narrator to find Oliver Lutkins. When the train arrived at New Mullion, Bill was on the station platform near his cart. So again, when the narrator went back along with one person from the firm, from the train itself, he noticed that the bill was at the station on the platform near his cart. Strangely enough, that old tigress, Lutkin's mother, was there talking and laughing with Bill, not quarreling at all. So, strange enough, children, narrator also noticed that that old tigress, who is nothing other than the Oliver Lutkin's mother, was talking to Bill on the platform and they were not quarreling at all. So this was very strange to the narrator. From the train steps, I pointed Bill out to my companion and said, "There's a fine fellow, a real man. I spent the day with him." So you see, children, the narrator was very excited to see Bill, and immediately he points out at the Bill and says, "That was the person who had, accompanied me to all the places, and I had spent the day with him." "He helped you hunt for Oliver Lutkins?" So the companion asked him, "Is he the man who helped you hunt Oliver Lutkins?" And the narrator says, "Yes, he helped me a lot. He must have. He is Lutkins himself." So finally, the secret is revealed. We come to know that Bill Magnuson is none other than Oliver Lutkins himself, who was fooling the narrator all the while. The narrator had great ideas about villagers. He thought that they are very good, they are very kind, and he wanted to move to a village. But now his entire idea is broken because he comes to know that it is Bill Magnuson, none other than Oliver Lutkins, who had been cheating him all the while. What really hurt me was that when I served the summons, Lutkins and his mother laughed at me as though I were a bright boy of 7. So the narrator had become a laughing stock. The mother and son were laughing at him and they were treating him like a boy who was 7 years age, right? And they had the joy of their life because of the narrator. With loving kindness, they begged me to go with them to a neighbor's house for a cup of coffee. So, what did they do? They invited the narrator to go along with them to the neighbor's house to have a cup of coffee. So, what could be the possible reason? The reason was, "I told them about you and they are anxious to look at you," said Lutkins joyfully. "They are about the only folks in the town that missed seeing you yesterday." So Oliver Lutkins says, "You come to our neighbor's house because only those people have not seen you yesterday. When I was taking you around, the entire village has seen you, but only our neighbors have missed you. So please come to their house so that they can also look at you and they can laugh at your foolishness." So that means, children, not only Bill Magnuson, the entire village was making fun of the narrator. All the villagers knew that Bill was pretending, and Bill was none other than Oliver Lutkins himself, but the entire village cooperated with Oliver Lutkins or Bill, and they had fun at the cost of the narrator, who very innocently trusted Bill and moved around in the entire village, wasting the entire day. And hence, he became a laughing stock for everyone present there in the village. So, finally, the narrator realizes his folly, he realizes his mistake, that he shouldn't be trusting people because of their appearance. So, with this, we have come to an end of this session, children. I'm ending the session. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, children.